Police-bound murderer!
SSPD!
Police-bound murderer!
SSPD!
And I said, why did you guys kill Daryl? They told me, why did he run? That's what they told me.
That ain't right!
That ain't right.
Of it. So we started out, we stood in front of City Hall as the Blue Lives Matter people marched by us. And there were I don't know how many there were. It seemed like maybe 500. And there were probably in the beginning about 40 of us, Black Lives Matter protesters. So we were very outnumbered. And there were people that would like antagonize us. Like this one old lady kept singing God Bless America really loud into a megaphone in front of us. Which was just kind of funny. We were just kind of laughing at her because we're like, this is really strange. So all of the Blue Lives Matter people marched past us and we marched down Broadway after them, keeping our distance. And then we got to Congress Park and they were gathered and we came up upon them and kind of stayed on the side. And the police stood there with their backs to the Blue Lives Matter protesters standing against us. And they made sure there was a gap between the police officers and the Black Lives Matter protesters, where they would take the police horses and run them through us, like run through the crowd. They would just yell, watch out, your feet are gonna get stepped on, and then just walk the horses right through us. And so after a while, most of the Blue Lives Matter people left, and we went up to Broadway and we walked down to City Hall and we stood in the intersection and we walked back. Standing in the intersections and sitting is very common. Like there had been probably 4 protests before where we did that and we would spend hours, like we would say, shut it down and everyone would sit down in the intersection. But the police officers had been like, normal protests, they would block off the roads for us and let us protest and demonstrate to raise awareness for this. Police this time apparently told the leader of our group, all of us ended up coming at some point, and Lexus is one of the leaders, and he was apparently told by the police that we need to get out of the streets because it's a danger to us and the traffic. But there were only probably 100 protesters there, and I didn't hear that, and I was totally not aware that they had told us to get out of the streets. And so we stayed on the streets and we're standing there and all of a sudden dozens of police cars and that militarized vehicle, the pictures of that have circulated, arrived and we didn't know what it was. I had no idea that there were people on the top of the car with like lasers. And I heard no warning before they fired anything at us. All of a sudden, everyone started screaming and running, and they had fired pepper bullets. We thought it was tear gas at the time, but it was pepper bullets at us. And it was everyone was panicked and scattered. But everyone stood up on the outside of the streets, but then went back in. Because I think personally that using this chemical weapons against us is not effective in getting us to want to leave. That's just going to make us more angry. They eventually they had like riot shields and they pushed us off the streets. And that was more effective. If that was their goal to get us off the streets, using the riot shields was effective. But one of the chants we kept saying was, why are you in riot gear? Because there's no riot gear.
25 days and still no plan to protect Black students, even as online threats against us mount. 25 days and still no acknowledgement that Professors David Peterson and Andrea Peterson marched with the very Nazis and racists who attacked Skidmore students. 25 days and the only thing Skidmore could offer us is a promise to work with the very Saratoga officials who ordered attacks on protesters and they gloated about it on social media.
No justice,
no peace.
No justice,
no peace.
Unfortunately, my son is Daryl's little cousin. And my son never got the chance to meet his cousin Daryl. Because unfortunately, 7 years ago, Daryl made a choice that should have never come with the repercussions that it did.
So his body apparently was found right off of Broadway on the 31st, 7 years ago. Apparently it was after a so-called altercation from him and his girlfriend. That didn't happen. His girlfriend actually denies the claims of it completely. Apparently they had an altercation. The cops were called. He ran from the cops out of fear. And he was beaten. He was found on the ground after. It was very suspicious idea what happened. We don't really understand what happened, meaning that the cops said that they were chasing him, then he disappeared. Then out of nowhere, they found him on the ground, said he fell off of 20 feet scaffolding. Later on, the family did an independent look at the body, examination, the mortician did, and it was found that the bruises and the fractures on his skull were inconsistent with a fall. After that, they asked and demanded for a investigation into the SSPD. There was no internal investigation at all ever done. So nobody knows what the cops really did, and obviously it's a hidden thing. There were emails also that were sent that were internally that were sent to show that they did not do any investigation at all. And actually the chief at that time, Chief Veach, said that he had his officers back and they had nothing to worry about.
7 years have gone by and we still know absolutely nothing. I mean, we know enough. They claim that Daryl fell from scaffolding. Last I checked, scaffoldings don't send out 55,000 volts of electricity. Daryl was tased and beaten. And he was beaten into a coma. And he was in that coma for almost 9 months. 255 days. Every single human being that is standing next to you right now is usually created in that amount of time, 9 months. Daryl unfortunately lost his life in that amount of time. Do me a favor, say his name.
Daryl Mount.
He wasn't safe. Say his name.
Daryl Mount.
Daryl Mount fell at the hands of SSPD. Are people of color safe in this town? Because again, say his name.
Daryl Mount.
He wasn't.
Daryl Mount. Daryl Mount. Daryl Mount. Daryl Mount.
Until SSPD takes full responsibility for Daryl Mount, as well as other cases of police brutality in Saratoga Springs, and change up their policies and enforce those policies, not just change policies. Anybody can change policies and not actually enforce them. And we need accountability and transparency within the community, in the police department, SSPD, and the Saratoga Springs County sheriffs as well.
I hope by the end of this message, really, every person who's here, even the police that are in the back, even the people that never knew Daryl Mount, could understand the reason that we're all here, which is really to shine a light on a life that should not have been taken.
No peace. No peace. No peace.
I will tell you again, no justice.